All right, welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. I am Joey Calvo. Today, I have the most amazing person I will probably ever meet in my life. She's truly beautiful. She's truly amazing. I actually caught a glimpse of her last chat before she got on here, and I was like, wow. It was like I hit the jackpot with this. So, her name is Elyse Alexander, and she is a wealth mindset business coach that focuses in manifestation, money story, minds, and branding you as your business. Bear with me. I printed this up because of the questions.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah. Um, She's also a transformational speaker and passive income strategist. She's famous for her raw vulnerability, uncomfortable conversations, and ability to dream big. Elyse has her Burning Pure signature program, her membership, and her group coaching program all started from zero. So, Elyse, thank you very much, first of all, for coming on. And I will say thank you for the kind of lead in to this. Now, for those that are listening on that's going to be listening on the podcast, Elyse is amazing. Okay, I'm going to sound unprofessional for a moment, but I mean, she looks like she's 21. Okay, she looks like she's 21. But from the conversation she had with her friend and mentor, I will say, I was like, wow. I could not believe that I was able to get this person on my podcast. I mean, I didn't have to bend a finger, I didn't have to do anything. I mean, I was actually afraid I would have made her uncomfortable for all this I'm saying now, but I mean, like, and to even make it worse, I'm sorry I'm doing it. I'm saying this, but if she was my significant other, I'd be in big trouble right now for the way I'm going. Okay, so now that I got myself way deep in, and I'm going to have Elyse tell her story on how she got from back then to where she's at now. And I'm going to try to hide tears at the same time while I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to cover myself up after that. But go ahead, Elyse, and tell all of the YouTube live stream and podcast listeners, who is Elyse Alexander? How did she get to be where she's at right now?
What a question. Well, first I want to say thank you, because being vulnerable is not easy, Joey. So stuff like that may make other people uncomfortable, but I know how hard it is to be vulnerable and to say something that makes either you uncomfortable or someone else uncomfortable. And it's not easy. It is not an easy thing. And I don't take it for granted. So thank you so much for being vulnerable and for being honest and being willing to share your piece of the puzzle, no matter what it is. I think that a lot of people assume that just because you look a certain way or you act a certain way or you are a certain way, that you're a certain kind of person. And Elyse Alexander wasn't always like this. And so I'll get into my story a little bit, and I will say thank you for having me on, because at the end of the day, everyone deserves to be heard.
Yes.
And I am a firm believer in that. No matter what you look like, no matter what you say, no matter what's going on, everyone deserves to be heard. And I think a lot of that gets lost in the sauce because of all the different weird metrics that we have in the world and how people should be heard in a certain way. Fuck that. I'm not really that kind of person. So we'll just lead in that way.
Before you go any further, you know how you mentioned the word assume?
Yes.
Okay. Old story growing up is when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
That's true.
Always remember that. So go ahead, Elyse. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And this is the thing, right? Be open to change. So this is something that I was not at all. I started out, even before I started my business, as someone who was like very strict, very had to do things a certain way. I was extremely controlling, and I felt like I
Internet.
was not in control of my life. Like I felt like
Mhm.
everyone else was leading the show, and that I was
Yup.
just kind of this girl who was in the corner and who was like, maybe like that sounds good, or like maybe I could do that. And I think, like a lot of us, I followed my parents' vision of what they wanted for me for a long time.
Mhm.
They were like, Elyse,
Yep.
go to college. And I was like, okay, but I'm going to go to culinary school and I'm going to do it my way. And I'm not going to lie, I loved chocolate, baking, all the things that I studied in and specialized in for years. But to be honest with you, Joey, I kind
Yep.
of realized very quickly that my ability and my meant for moreness was being covered up, and that I was allowing my zone of genius to kind of be like shoved in the corner because I was willing to do something that was by society standard comfortable. And so I've always known that I was meant for more, but I just kind of tucked it away. And so after a little bit before COVID, I had a lot of really uncomfortable relationships in my life. I've been in abusive relationships. I have been the person who's like, no, I'm just going to like figure out how to make it work. And finally, after sitting in the corner for like the umpteenth time and being like, why doesn't this man love me? I don't understand. Like, why does he want to be with somebody else? I was like, oh, okay, Elyse, let's figure this out and understand how to go back to the basics and connect with what we really want. And what I've always wanted is to be my own brand, is to build my own business, is to live life my way, to have the freedom that I wanted, which is being able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want. And so I've always known that. But it was a little bit before COVID that I started to come up with Burning Pure, which is my company now. And so I was sitting down and I was like, I could do this, right? And I came up with like 10 different ideas of like passive income and creating a subscription box. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't really feasible, or this doesn't make sense financially, or this is going to take a really long time. And so I was like, okay, like that's not going to work. And I was like, but what do I really want to do? And I like kind of sat with myself and I was like, I really want to help people. Like, I really want to be able to change the world. And that was the first moment that I was like, you know what? I want to be a billionaire. And I don't want to be a billionaire for the money. I want to be the billionaire that changes the world, that allows something to be different. And $1 billion is what it's going to take to have lasting change in this world and in this 2024 society. And so I sat down and I was like, okay, I really want to help people. I want to be able to teach people from my own knowledge, from my own specialized education. And I want to be able to do whatever I want, wherever I want. And I was like, how do I do that? And I had absolutely no idea, Joey. Like, I had no idea, even though I had parents who were entrepreneurs, everyone around me in my life was an entrepreneur, but everyone did it a very particular way. They basically killed themselves, put their health on the back burner, and were willing to do whatever it took in order to make the money and to have the business that they wanted. And then I watched as my family and people around me started to decay aggressively because they were willing to put their health as not a priority. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure that I am able to last, that I am able to have consistency, that I am able to have longevity. And so I started to build my business, and I realized, like, oh snap, I need support. I need someone around me who is going to help me when I have no idea what to do next, right? Because I knew I wanted to help people, but I had no idea how to build a business that was able to get me there, right? Because I could have copied everyone else around me, but it would have
Right.
led me exactly to where I was dealing with my family, which is Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, other things that when you do not pay attention to your health and your life and your sleep, that you end up having to deal with. Not to say that if you don't take care of yourself, that some things happen sometimes, but
Right.
I'm someone who very much wanted to learn prevention. I wanted to know how to build a business that worked for me, that supported the life that I wanted to live, to make the money I wanted to live, but not work myself to death.
Right.
So I logged on to Google. You'll like this, Joey. I logged on to Google and I was like, so tell me how to find people who I do not know, who make more money than me, who I can hang out with, not work from, not work with, but people I could hang out with. And the biggest blessing in my life came up in that moment. And it was a It was a community called Powerhouse Women that
Mm-hmm.
was filled with hundreds of women who had no idea what they wanted to do in life, but knew that they were meant for more and that they wanted to make their own money. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wow. I was like, I have no idea who these women are. I was like, but I want to meet them. I need to connect with them. And they had an event, a live event going on in like 3 weeks. And I was that person who had never come out of my house in terms of like putting myself in an uncomfortable situation by myself, not knowing anyone. I was
Mm-hmm.
very reclusive. I was
Mm-hmm.
someone who spent a lot of time alone. I was
Yeah.
extremely independent.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I was like, you know what, Elyse, let's get uncomfortable. Let's go somewhere where we do not know anyone. Let's show up in the room and let's see what happens. Because I had
Yep.
just like a little voice in my head, Joey, that was like, just show up, Elyse, just show up.
Yeah.
And so I walked into that room and I remember thinking to myself, like, everyone's going to think I'm a fraud. Everyone's going to think that I have no idea what I'm doing and why am I even here and why show up for myself, right? I was giving myself the craziest self-talk that you could ever experience, the only things that we can ever say to ourselves and not someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And the first exercise that we did
Yeah.
was everything that you said to yourself, you had to write it down and you had to say it out loud to someone else.
Oh boy.
In that moment,
there.
I was like, I would never say that to someone else. I would
Yeah.
never tell them that they were unworthy or that they weren't ready or that like they were a piece of crap.
Yeah.
But yet it's something I'm so willing to tell myself. And in that moment,
Yeah.
I promised myself, right? I promised myself,
Mm-hmm.
no more. We're not
Yeah.
doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's really easy to tell yourself, oh yeah, I'm not going to say this anymore. And then when it comes up again and actually implementing that thing on a daily basis is way harder. So I realized, okay, this event is really great. And I love what this feels like in this moment. But how do you continue that feeling? And then the next year when you come back, how do you be a different person? And I realized that it was the community that you surrounded yourself with. It was the coach that you were willing to spend your own money on and work hard and pay attention to being willing to get outside your comfort zone and to learn something new, as well as keeping yourself accountable. And so I did all three of those things. And yet again, I was like, oh, wow, like I've gotten further, but I'm not where I want to be, right? So I shamed myself and I was like, well, Elyse, okay, like we built a business and we established an LLC, but I still don't have the clients I want. I still don't have like, right? I listed everything off that I wanted that I still didn't have. And the next year of the event, I was like, okay, Elyse, we've now been in business for like 6 months. This is something that we want to do, but we're not charging our value. Why not? And so I went from literally connecting with people, Joey, and being like, okay, what's your problem? How do you think you can fix it? What's not working? And let's see what's going on. And someone paying me $100 an hour.
Okay.
Right? I was like, okay, I deserve to be paid, but like, I don't think I have a lot of advice, but like, maybe let's see. Let's see. Why not? Let's see if you're willing to pay me $100 an hour. And she did. And what's funny about that story is I never got that $100 because it was on like an app that I wasn't able to access at the time. And I find this very funny. I don't know why I'm sharing this. Is coming out of nowhere. But from there,
you're being open.
From there, I was like, okay, you know, like I still have a 9-to-5 job. I was like, I work 3 days a week because when I was a chocolatier, I worked 24/7 and I did not have the opportunity to build my business. So I quit working as a chocolatier. I started working at a museum 3 days a week so that I could build my brand, so that I could take the time to really connect and to deep dive into talking to people. And then the museum closed. And I was like, okay, Elyse, now what? And I was like, we're going all the way in, right? I could have gotten another job. I could have found a way to financially support myself. But I was like, you know what? If we're not going to do it now, are we ever going to do it? Are we ever going to go all the way in? And so quit the job, moved into my house for a year, literally in my room, building my business for a year. Had issues with my roommates, had issues with my family, had issues with literally every single person around me because I wasn't doing it the way that they thought that it should be done. And I wasn't taking care of myself as much as I should have. And so, right, the universe always comes in to redirect you if you're not doing something that it knows you're supposed to be doing. And so I said to myself, Elyse, this life that you want to live, like you want to help people, you want to have clients, but you also want to live multi-country. We're not doing that. Why not? And so literally I hired a coach and I hired a business coach and I was like, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. I want to work with clients that I like. I want to help people. I want to build a course and I want to live in another country for 6 months out of the year. And so I went through all of the uncomfortable things and I
Mhm.
made a timeline and I did step by step. And guess what?
Yep.
I sold all my stuff.
Yep.
I left my apartment. I
Yep.
moved to Paris and I ended up traveling Europe for
Yep.
over 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
Now, I came back because in building the business, right? Up
Yes.
leveling, I got even more uncomfortable and I hit that upper limit and I was
Mm.
like, ooh, maybe we can't be happy and have money and do all the things at the same time. So then
Mhm.
I lowered back down
Yep.
and then I came back to the States and I was like, okay, Elyse, so let's build this business and let's also have it be a reality instead of having it be a way that we relieve ourselves from reality and come back. And so I was someone who
Mm.
literally went from $100 an hour to
Yep.
having the balls to say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? I'm worth 1,200. I'm going
Yeah.
to create a course and I'm going
Yep.
to sell it before it's ready. And I'm
Yep.
going to build it after I get a client. And guess what? I got that first client and
Yep.
it felt like I had never done more amazing things in my life than that moment. But what a
Mhm.
lot of people don't share is
Yeah.
normally your first client happens after
Yeah.
you're already in debt. So I
Yeah.
needed that money to pay rent
Yeah.
that
Yep.
day. And
Mhm.
so I used that money to pay the rent.
Yep.
And then I ended up building another course, sold it
Mhm.
before it was ready, and got
Yep.
a $5,000 client. I did
Wow.
this for about 3 to 4 months with several
Mhm.
different people. And then
Uh-huh.
again, right, I hit my upper limit and I was
Yep.
like, ooh, can't be happy, can't be doing this all at the same time.
Yeah.
Retracted,
Yep.
had my business fall to the wayside, and
Yeah.
then was like, huh. So I'm noticing a pattern here, Joey, that every time I do well,
Yep.
that I end up
Yep.
doing the same thing
Yep.
over and
It's
over.
like that, and that's like I said, that's what I'm going through with me right now. I'm at the point where, like you said, you're kind of looking at you're on the outside looking in, you know, and I was like that in school. I mean, I was always picked on because I was wearing Kmart clothes,
Hmm.
and everybody had like Sears and Macy's and all that, hunky dory stuff. Now that tells you my age in reference to it, but and then every relationship that I had, I got cheated on because I was too nice. And even my marriage, I mean, it was so controlled. It was to the point where, and this was her motto that I had to live with for 7 years. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. So I
Mm.
barely even had anything to work with. Um, that fell to the wayside. I finally got. It took me 15 years to finally put a divorce in for it because because someone opened my eyes literally and made me see reality. And when I started to see the reality, just like you said, I felt like a creep. I looked ugly. I was like, I didn't see anything looking forward, even though I was working on something for 25 years, which um, happens to be one of the questions. Uh, yeah, like I said, this person knows me well.
Okay, I'm so
so,
excited.
um, so, and then I had met somebody before this person opened my eyes,
Mhm.
and it was okay. I managed. I stayed positive the best I could, but at the same time, I was still like not happy.
Mhm.
And I've actually learned the reason why I'm not happy is because I made a mistake years ago that I'll never forgive myself for. And
Hmm.
that's where the issue's at, of where I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to slowly isolate. But this person, like I said, that has the questions,
Mhm.
hasn't given up on me. Literally, this person wants me to keep the podcast going. I was at the point where by the end of March, I was giving up literally everything. Well, make a long story short, yesterday, Facebook went bye bye because of, like you were saying, people telling you what to do and how to live your life
Mhm.
when I couldn't even live mine. where like anytime I try to say something, they're like, "Oh, you can't comment this on here. Why? If you're gonna tell your business on Facebook, well, be prepared for criticism." And then there were some, excuse me, that literally turned around and said, "You have a right to say what you want." And that's what I was trying to do, was saying what I wanted to say and get it out. And I came across, matter of fact, on Threads, which is part of Instagram, which you got mentioned on a lot, in reference to you coming on here. But unfortunately, it only still showed the Instagram part to you. And I was like, I can't wait to speak to her. I mean, like learning so much and so on. So, I was like, okay. Then when you emailed me back to saying you want to come on and talking about the aloneness, I was like, boy, did this have to come at the right time, because yeah, like I said, I'm starting the process. But I think the more I'm going at it, I think it's more of the social media part than everything else. Because since I've been off of Facebook over the past 24 hours, I haven't stressed as much as I used to. So it's a slow start. Plus, I got diagnosed with diabetes, and I'm sitting in the doctor's office yesterday, and I'm saying this because I need to say this, because I was supremely pissed by the end of the day yesterday. So I went to the doctor's office, and my doctor, of course, is telling me, "Yeah, you got the diabetes." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And she's like, "Well, you might go blind. Then with your high blood pressure, you might die in your sleep, and you may lose your legs." I was like, "Okay, great. Thank you so much for reminding me that." So then I turned around. She finally got me an appointment with the podiatrist, because every time I was trying to get to the podiatrist, they were canceling it. So finally got to the podiatrist, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, you have water in both legs." I was like, "Really?" I said, "I went to the hospital in September to tell me that I had edema in one leg. I didn't know I had it in both." So, make a long story short, he supposedly prescribed me a water pill, but it's not even at CVS. I was like, "Where is this water pill for me to take, so I can get rid of this stuff?" And then he's like, "Well, you got to get this urea cream." And I was like, "Okay." And he's, because I work part-time in Amazon, like how you said you work 3 days a week. I work too, because of my health. I mean, I'm 5'4", 200, well, according to yesterday, 250 pounds. And I've learned I'm not really happy. My ex-wife, you can tell her she's beautiful, and she will tell you, literally, and this is what got to me as well, "No, I'm fat and I'm ugly." That actually got into my head on it. But like I said, the two people that had come into my life kept reminding me that I'm not that. And I've been very thankful for it. So, are you ready?
Before you ask a question, can I say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what you were experiencing is not uncommon, Joey. And I don't ever want anyone to feel crazy for being willing to share their story. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
There have been so many people in my life to tell me that I was ugly, to tell me that I had no business doing what I was doing, to tell me that my hair looked ugly and I shouldn't be giving advice, to tell me numerous amounts of things. And guess what?
Yeah.
When you say something long enough, you start to believe someone. But here's the thing about what I call keyboard warriors.
Okay.
If you are not willing to put yourself in the arena, if you are not willing to get blood on your face, if you are not willing to sit there and do the work, I have no care for what you say to me. And so it doesn't surprise me that the circle in which you've gotten into is something that makes you uncomfortable to talk about, because to be honest, it makes most of us uncomfortable to
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah.
And asking for help then on top of that, when you still don't feel that way, then gets even more uncomfortable. So I just want to honor you first in sharing with me, because I've also had the same experience with someone in my life where they
Yeah.
needed a water pill and where they almost died recently. And I had to step in and make sure that everything could be said, because we all need advocates, Joey.
Yeah.
And I am one of those two people in your life like that, where I
Well,
was like,
you make three. You make three.
I make three. Okay. So
Sorry,
then I am also that person. And that's why I am a coach, is because I'm willing to sit there and say the uncomfortable things that no one wants to hear in order to get to where they want to go. And this is why I haven't given up either. And from that last round of like, hey, you know what? I did really well and the success is getting a little scary. I had to then come back, right? And continue in my practice and continue in what I want to do. And there is no mistake of why I've shown up in your life, because every time someone's about to give up, the teacher always appears.
Yep. Well, what I would have said now, I'd have to hold that. I might have to email you that on the side because it's a little bit more personal than that. I wouldn't think of you as a coach at this point, But all right. So,
first question
from Anonymous. Here we go. Is this?
I was like, wait, you left.
Yep, there we go. Can her methods be used for a transportation service business? Ooh. And here is the story to it.
Yeah, tell me.
All right. The last girlfriend I had before I got married, this was dating back to 1999, I was working at a taxi company.
Okay.
And I was making $500 a week in cash.
Oh, get it, Joey.
Okay? So I was making money. I was enjoying it because I was driving. Well, this person wound up, well, let's just say it this way. Now, again, as I'm stating my age, we have the old-fashioned pager.
Yep.
So this pager used to go off every Saturday morning at 6 o'clock on the dot. And I'd get up, I'd go call. They're like, you want to come in? I was like, I come in at 3 o'clock. You think if I'm working 6 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning, the next morning, like I'm not going to be tired. I might, not be able to manage the drive and all that. But every week it was the same thing because he was short on drivers. She got to the point where she's like, you know what? You're leaving that place. And I wound up working at what was Popular Club, which is now owned by, I forgot. It's been a long time. But I wound up getting a job at Popular Club. And then she got me interested in candles with a company called Party Light, and I loved it. I loved the candles. Matter of fact, I try to get back into it once in a while. Make a long story short, I went on a trip to Vegas for this convention for Party Light. And my niece was staying with us because she allowed her to stay, to tell me she was cheating on me with a fireman. While I was in Las Vegas, while I was out there really thinking of how to really keep this relationship going, and every time I would say I loved her, I never heard the word love back, ever. It was always, I left you. And I should have taken that, as granted back then. But, of course, I didn't. I didn't know any better. So, she let me go back into the taxi companies. And I worked this one local company nearby. And I turned around. I said, you know what? I want to start my own. And she was okay with it. She was giving me ideas and all that. And that's how my first email came out of it. So it's been 25 years off and on. I finally got it incorporated in 2014. Finally got an EIN number, but I couldn't get the money to get everything I needed back then. and I still can't because now the credit scores have to be 680 and this. So during that time, it went from taxis till I moved to Philadelphia, got married, and then I started looking at the taxi and the medallions were like $200,000. So we went to limousine. I was like, okay, limousine started to sound a little more interesting. And then a couple of years ago, it went from limousine to casino buses because I love going to Atlantic City and all the casinos. So it went to that. So now I've been working with trying to get the casino buses, and I've been finding them. But again, it came back down to money.
The money.
Yeah. So that's what question 1 is about, and how your methods could be used for it.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of statements and then an answer.
Go ahead. I'm actually going to take notes, folks.
I love it. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want you to answer it, but I just want you to sit with it.
Go ahead.
Are the methods that you're using to create wealth aligned with the life that you want to live?
Right now, no.
Don't answer it.
Oh, sorry.
Don't answer it. Just sit with it.
Okay, I'm sitting with it. Okay.
And I'm going to ask it again in a different way. Okay. Are the methods that you're using to create money aligned with the lifestyle that you would like to live? Now, again, sit with it.
I'm sitting with it. It's just like it's itching to want to come out.
Trust me, I know. But whatever your first response is not actually the answer. And this is one of the things I teach in my programs, is that we are so used to like this concept of victim consciousness, which is not a wrong way to think. It's just the fact that we're so used to giving a reason of why something doesn't work instead of thinking about why something actually doesn't work, which I've only heard parts of your story, but in my opinion, can my methods be used in a transportation service? 100%. Why are they not working for you? Because you're not meant to be doing what you're doing. Your zone of genius is actually somewhere else. And what you're doing doesn't align with the lifestyle you want to live, with what you want to do, and with what really makes you happy. Because you can make money and not be fulfilled. But what you're searching for, Joey, and what we're all searching for is money, freedom, and fulfillment. If you don't have all three of those things, you're going to continue to search money, freedom, and fulfillment. And here's the thing. What I teach is a lot of online processes because I know that what you secretly want is to be able to do business from anywhere and to be able to do it when you want. Because the reason your other businesses haven't worked is because they're physically demanding businesses. And so allowing yourself to figure out what is your zone of genius? Where is it that you want to live? What is it that you want to create? And then what way of passive income can allow you to get your health as a priority so that you can continue on with what you're doing? Can then you create that freedom, fulfillment, and money? Does that make sense?
It does, and I do need to apologize to you. These live streams, because I have that T-Mobile 5G internet, and it sucks at live stream. So that's why we got cut out twice. So as you've been talking, it's only been catching parts. So
okay. I'll reiterate.
It's okay. I'm just saying. I'm just giving you the reason why. If you get cut out, that's why. Plus, in reference to when it comes to recording time, they only give you an hour to record. But if we go past the hour, on YouTube, that's a whole different story. All right. I got to get to question number 2. Because question number 2...
Does not make sense, Joey.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes.
Question number 2, I'm ready.
Okay. Question number 2. Now, you mentioned about Culinary Institute of America. Here we go. And you already answered this question. What was her best dish she made after going to the Culinary Institute of America?
What a great question. I haven't been asked about food in a while. I love that. Well, in terms of food, and then in terms of my life, because to me, I always answer both questions.
Yeah.
The best dish that I have ever made was finding a way to make the perfect chocolate souffle. Like this
Okay.
for me was my ultimate freedom because souffle is not an easy dish. And it's definitely something that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of persistence and a lot of consistency. I also specialized in chocolate truffles, chocolate French truffles for 9 years. That was also not easy.
Yeah.
But in terms of what was the best dish that I made after school was meat. I found a way to make my best life happen out of what had come out of the creation of my life and the struggles I faced.
All right. Now, question number 3 is going to sound a little weird.
I'm ready. It's not weird.
Okay. Here we go. Can she help superheroines start a crime prevention business or be able to make chicken marsala?
It's not weird. And I will say I can make chicken marsala, number one.
Yep.
Number two, I think a lot of us, to be honest, are what you would call a superheroine because there are so many of us who are like, oh, what is the word I'm looking for? Overdoers, people who strive incredibly high, people who show up as like pushing to be successful. I don't know why the word is not coming to me right now, but there's a name for it of these people. And I think a lot of us want to help people. And in terms of like crime prevention, I'm just changing that language into like helping other people make sure that bad stuff doesn't happen. So for sure I can help superheroines.
Okay. All right. That's those were the 3 questions.
I love it.
Yes. I figure you would because like I said, this person knows me very well. This person has been one of the now 3 that has really stood by me. She has been fighting, like I said, the negativity of me and trying to make me stay positive. And it's been hard because I push things. I push things to the limit, like I said, in reference to Facebook. And the reason why I actually left Facebook was because my so-called support wanted me to see a psychiatrist, which I had done. And my psychiatrist turned around and told me before we ended it that my podcast was my therapy.
I love that.
I was like, okay. It felt weird to hear that, but I do see a therapist once a month. And I didn't give up on the therapist part, even though, they were like, oh, you should see the therapist more than once a month. You should see it every week. No, I don't. If I went and saw it every week, then I'm not helping me. I need that space. And that's something nobody ever, people have given me space, but not the space I really saw. And it got to the point yesterday, and no lie, that someone got a hold of the National Suicide Hotline and called me 15 minutes after I got home from everything I was doing all day yesterday. And they're like, hi, this is so-and-so from the National Suicide Hotline. And I said, stop right there. I said, if I wanted to end my life, okay, I would have a long time ago. I have no reason, and because of people like you and the others, I've had no reason. And the reason, and I will actually state this, and I think I've said it before to another guest. In 2012, Now, I've lived in this neighborhood literally since 2010. So I have lost this nice one-bedroom apartment, and I was staying in a homeless shelter for about a month in between housing. And I was walking over the South Street Bridge at the Schuylkill River, and I started looking at the Schuylkill River, and I said, you know what? I'm done. And I turned around. As I was standing there, I had a voice coming from the back of my head, literally saying that I would be missed if I was gone.
You would be.
Yeah. And that stopped me right there in my tracks. And ever since then, I think about that. I think about that. Like even this person that had said it back then literally said, and I quote, "If you left me, I will hunt you down and track you." I was like, okay. I was like, you will not be out of my life. I know that. But I wasn't saying it because I was scared, because you were putting this person was putting so much of themselves towards me, and really, like, like what I would say to you right now, that I really would actually I like, even though you would say you wouldn't feel uncomfortable, be like, what the hell did he just say to me? Like, did he just want to say he wanted me to be his beep? You know? But like you said, there's three of you in reference to that statement, if I said it. But I mean, there's complications in that relationship that I mentioned, where that person said those words, and like you said, it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I said, you know what? I have no reason to go. I have, I it may not be the greatest, but I can't miss what I have. Yeah, the mistake cost me a lot of things, and I'm trying to rebuild some of it, which I know.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because one thing a coach did for me that changed my life, that I'm hoping changes yours,
Okay.
is listening to your own language. Trying is not something I'm allowed to say anymore. And so I do not allow my clients to say it anymore.
Okay.
Because you don't try, you either do or you don't.
Okay.
And here's the thing, Joey, this is why I'm good at what I do. Because I create an open space, because I hold space for people to be in the life that they need to be in, whether it's in their feelings, whether it's in their head, whether it's in their emotions. Because I help people see that the strategy is not the only piece of building a business that is important. A lot of it is mindset, is allowing yourself to get past yourself, because we are the biggest blocks that we have. It's actually not anybody else in the life that we have. It's us. We get in our own way all of the time.
Right.
And here's the thing that I'm seeing for you, which is that you love what you do so much, but yet we have been trained, right, as individuals, to focus on what other people say about us so much that you're allowing it to become true.
Yep.
When I want you to do something, when someone says something to you that you feel is not true, I want you to tell yourself, you are not allowed to run my life. I will not live for you.
Okay. You already heard the statement I said about the three in reference to the beep. Yeah, yeah. I definitely wish that right now, because I definitely know that, and like I said, you and those questions from Anonymous, okay, the two of you right now, I would like, it may sound creepy, quote unquote, but it's like the three of us combined makes like I can almost say the perfect team, but the best team possible, because you know you're at one end that's encouraging me, as this one's encouraging me to stay in the positivity when the negativity is within myself that I'm fighting. And then everything else in between that could fit in its own little puzzle, in reference to love and just, yes, I'm sounding desperate. I am sorry.
You don't, Joey,
Yeah.
don't apologize for being authentic.
Okay.
Who you are is who you are. I get that, I used to use cursing as something that kind of like covered up when I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Your mode of comfortability
Yeah.
comes from that form of love, that
Yeah.
form of flattery, that form of,
Complimenting.
compassion.
Yeah.
And don't apologize about that.
Okay.
Understand that when it comes up, maybe ask yourself why, and maybe ask yourself, why is it coming up for you? Because something else I'm going to do for you, Joey, is that
I'm in trouble now, because here we go.
No, there's nothing bad about this.
No. When I first met you, what was one thing that I actually said about you? Yes, I'm going to put you on the spot for it.
I don't mind.
And not only did I say it to you, I said it to those other two too.
Well, that's sweet.
So, but do you remember what I complimented you more on?
Yeah, you said that it was my hair and my eyes. And here's the thing, Joey.
Yeah.
We say what we want others to say to us.
Yeah.
So you're beautiful, Joey.
Okay.
Allow yourself to recognize that you're beautiful and that work happens from the inside out. And that until you believe where you are, it will never matter what anyone else says to you. People say to me, like, Elyse, you're a business coach. Why don't we talk so much about strategy? We don't talk so much about strategy because stuff happens from the inside out. You don't see a result until something starts to shine so bright that it's on the outside of you coming in. One of the biggest gifts that I've ever been given is that voice, right, that you're talking about in your head that's saying all the negative, nasty things. Name it. Name that voice so that you can recognize that that's not you.
Would you like the list? Because it's off of Facebook now. and what actually surprised me is when I first got on Facebook, and I actually reached out to some, and one thing I never do, and I actually applaud myself, is I never hold a grudge on anyone
except yourself.
Except, I'm my own worst enemy. And that's all I ever say. I've been my own worst enemy, but I won't hold anything against you. I mean, I could stand in front of you if something was to happen. I would protect you over me. I would do a lot of sacrificing because of what I feel and how I feel within the heart. And I've learned that, if I keep my heart feeling this way, I'm going to get somewhere within me. But at the same time, I'm also fighting those demons that are like, you are the ugliest MF in the world. You're 5'4". You're creepy looking. You act creepy looking. You sound creepy looking. But like I said, you and the other two don't see that. And right now, as I'm even saying this, tears are trying to run out of my eyes because it gets heartwarming. And it makes me wish that, like, you were here right now, or that person was here right now, or if somebody was here, because, like you said in the beginning, you don't want to be alone in your own way. I have been alone too long, and it's hurting. Literally, it is literally hurting. And I like I said, when I came across you, and when I got to know Anonymous, and the the third one I call complicated, the one that put the voice in the back of my head. And I got to try to do this within 9 minutes, unless, and I didn't want to keep it any longer because of where you are. And believe me, where she's at right now, I wish I could be there because I have never traveled outside the United States. And believe me, like I said, the way this is going, and I mean, I truly appreciate you making me feel super comfortable, because I actually had people turn around and said, because of your last statement, I'm not coming on the podcast, or I'm not comfortable, or this. And I was like, this is who I am. I try to be this caring person that like wants to open up and let you out and let you share who you are. Now, I mean, the one thing I can't share is the past, because I have a fear to it. So as much as that's holding me back, and that's the main thing that's actually literally my boundary, is the past in reference to relationships. I mean, I could email you offhand and tell you what it actually is. You would be like, why did I just talk to this person? I'm not saying you would say that, but I'm just saying. No, I'm not. But I'm saying, that comes through people's heads, to the point where I lost people because of even that, and it scares me because that puts another thing into my head. I'm not going to see another relationship because of this, or or like I said, the ugliness, or the creepiness, or.
So let me ask you a question, Joey.
Sure. Go ahead.
So one of the exercises that I did early on in my business, and as you're realizing, there's a lot of exercises. There's a lot of mental bandwidth that I do with my clients, and this is why they've gone on and continue to do well in their lives. Also, I've had to be unattached at what someone else chooses to do with their life. But the biggest exercise that I've learned the most from, that's pushed me the most, is this. When you are laying on your deathbed, and you are sitting there in wonderment, or in this experience of, I wish I did, or I regret. What is it that you want to say to yourself in the moment of, before you move on in this life? Do you want to tell yourself, oh, well, I wanted another relationship, but I didn't even try. Oh, well, I wanted to love myself, but I didn't then look at myself in the mirror and say all the things that I wanted to hear to myself.
You just answered it right there. You didn't have to go any further.
Yeah.
It was mainly within myself. It's all it's ever been. It's been within myself. And I mean, people would turn around like, oh, stop doing the woe is me and this. So I was like, you know what? I'm to the point where I've given up. I'm like, why bother? If you're not going to support me. And then they like I said, it came down to the point where I actually had to leave Facebook because I should go see a psychiatrist, when all I was feeling right now is just the loneliness within me. And
I call it Entrepreneur Island.
Yeah. And realizing that, yes, I have a challenge in front of me. I realize that. And right now, like I said, as I'm trying to hold these tears back, because I mean, this has been like the most heartwarming podcast I've ever done. And I like I said, I could wish something right now off of this, but one, the person is too far away, because I would love, and normally I don't say that word as much, I would love to hold her in my arms right now and give her the biggest thank you in the world. Literally. But I also want to do it to those other two, too. And the thing is, Yeah, it's a distance, and I it's hard on me, but at the same time, I've learned to deal with it. That's like the least of my problems because I can find ways of getting around. So, we have 4 minutes left on this.
Okay, I
So,
want to say something
go ahead.
because you asked me a fundamental strategy question that I didn't answer.
Yeah.
So you asked me why basically all of the other things didn't work and why you didn't have the money to be able to complete the things.
Mm-hmm.
This is the universe coming to you and saying, hey, Joey, you're not meant to be doing these things. When something doesn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
it's because it's not meant to happen. Something
Okay.
that's meant for you will never run away from you. It will never disappear. It
Right.
will happen in the universe's timing of
Right.
having it happen. And one
Right.
of the biggest lessons in myself that took me probably too many years to learn, if I'm being honest, and
Mm-hmm.
this is, I think, more of a woman thing, but it
Yeah.
definitely cultivates in all of us,
Yeah.
which is that no one is coming to save you.
I know
You have to be your own savior. You
that.
have to be willing to get on the horse and say, hey, you know what? This is where I'm at. This is where I'm starting. This is where I want to go, which means you got to figure out what you actually want, Joey. You got to figure out what way you want to live. You got to figure out where you want to live. And then it's going to feel super disassociative. It's going to
Yeah.
feel like, well, how can I ever get there? How can I ever do this? How could I ever have the woman of my dreams? How could I ever have the money that I want? Like, I
Yeah.
want you to come up with an actual number that you want to achieve. I want
Mhm.
you to come up with the person that you want to be with and have characteristics of that person. I want you to construct what, if you didn't get paid for something and you wanted to do that thing every day, what
Yeah.
would you do? And
Uh-huh.
I want you to allow yourself to feed into the younger version of you that did dream and see what's possible there. And then from that point,
Mm-hmm.
either connect with me as a coach or find a mentor, find someone who's doing life the way you want to live it, and
Okay.
literally start at their chapter 1. Because
Okay.
our mistake and your misconception is
Yep.
that you're comparing yourself to someone else's chapter 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start at your chapter 1, not their chapter 50. I
Okay.
had to start somewhere too. I didn't always look like this. I didn't always act like this. I didn't always feel this way. I didn't always connect with people. Like, I was unwilling to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And years of putting in the work, literally 1% every single day, has
Mm-hmm.
allowed me to realize, hey, you know what? I want to be a speaker. I want to
Yeah.
connect with people and let people know that they're not alone. I
Yeah.
also want people to feel their zone of genius and be able to
Mhm.
create a business out of it and be able to create their passion.
Right.
And one thing that I'm very good at that I've discovered is
Yeah.
helping people figure out what they can't do, what they're doing wrong in making their own money, and where to start. And so
Okay.
I do definitely believe I can support you. I can support, my goal is to support 1 billion people
Great.
in
All
this
right.
vision.
So now that we have a minute,
Okay.
promote your business.
Okay. So my business is Burning Pure. It is on Instagram, burningpure.com. I have a membership. I have a community. I have a one-on-one coaching program. And we do focus on figuring out the thing that you are doing wrong and making your own money. Because we all want to have passive income. We all want things to happen when we're not involved. But there's always something that ends up coming in the way. So I help people diagnose what it is that they do not know what is going wrong and start from there and figure out where to start.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna end the recording part of
Deal.
the podcast because this live stream has gotten super comfortable. So to those that are listening to the podcast, you got to go over to the YouTube channel now and watch the whole thing from the beginning all over again, because Elyse is just this amazing person, and she's got me melting at the same time I'm holding back tears, and the love that's coming from half a world away in a way. So, but definitely check out Elyse on burningpure.com and also on Instagram, and hopefully she'll get on the Threads next because Threads is part of Instagram.
Yep.
So because I started following her, and like I had said really quickly, and matter of fact, I'm just going to let the recording just time out. That when before she came on, she was with her mentor, and I was like, I just couldn't believe what she was saying. I was like, it was just so much, and like she was telling you, she was paying 16. Some of these people were paying $16,000, just for um, just to be a client. I'm like, all I'm trying to do is, and if I had, which I don't nearby, um, I'm trying to start a casino bus service now, like I was saying, and when I was doing that, I have found literally I can find buses now for 25, 35, $45,000, and I got some licensing done, but what's holding it back is being able to have that to move it forward, because I've already got the casino lined up, everything lined up. So I mean, my focus has been there. It's just been taking bits and pieces as I'm doing it. And since we've been talking, I mean, and the questions that I brought out, one, I was like, okay, I'll bring these questions up, but at the same time, I was afraid of how the reaction was going to be. But it was so comfortable to bring out. Believe it or not, you're the first person I actually brought the word superheroine out. Okay, because this anonymous is kind of been like one, like we talked about, and this person will actually be surprised when I send her the video, and because she won't hear it. She'll hear it on the audio version too, which you will get afterwards.
Deal.
So, but it's like now it's like in my heart, I really have, and yes, I'm now going to say the word because I'm off the audio. 3 girlfriends. Literally. I literally feel like I have 3 girlfriends. And it means the world to me, because I know now at least my head can stay above water, per se. And I don't have to assume that, one's going to like go underneath and let me drown, because that person's not going to let me, no matter what I try to do. Even if I was like, what, back off, get out of my way, this, and this. Like you said, and like the other two, you literally would just need to wind up, quote unquote, and this is the word I use, even when I was telling myself about this podcast, I was going to give up this podcast because I didn't think I felt like I made a difference. And I used the word prove. And that's where my mind lies in reference to it. But as we've been talking, it's like that word prove kind of like went out the door. Because I feel so amazed. I feel so comfortable. It's like my heart just like got warmed up, not once, but 3 times. You and the other 2. And the one that put the words in my head that would miss me back in 2012, her version is, put one foot in front of the other and just keep on going. I try to do that, but when I put that one foot in front of the other, there's a rock in front of it.
You remember that you just said the word try.
I know. Like it's like I'm saying, maybe that's that rock. You know,
Yeah.
like
When you hear it come out of your mouth, what I need you to do is just
is that.
stop. No, no, no. Like literally. So I used to say it too. And when I'm around people who say try, I
Yeah.
recreate it in my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
But something that I do is literally when I hear it come out of my mouth, I just cut it off.
Yeah.
I don't finish the sentence. I just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Well, like I said, wish you were here that I could give you the biggest hug in the world for that, because
This is what I'm here for, Joey.
yeah,
I'm here to support.
yeah, but at the same time, I have to be careful of the word relationship, because of though of two of the three, and well, it could be 3 out of 3 for all I know. You know, each one of you have a relationship. Okay, one that brought the words into my head is more complicated than the other two, because that one is actually married. And but in reference to that person actually feels the same, is going through the same boundaries that I went through with mine, literally, of the control,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and the and in reference to, like you say, it's like I feel bad if I'm stepping over boundaries, and that's my other thing is, as soon as I know I'm stepping over a boundary, I have to like literally fall back 5,000 feet, literally like feeling like I'm going into the abyss, because I'm like, I'll get harder on me and harder on me and harder on me, like, like, Joey, you shouldn't have been doing this. You could literally turn this person against you and never want nothing to do with you ever again. And that happened to one person. And believe me, did it hurt me? Hell yeah. Because that person actually was a guest on this podcast.
I
And
need you to say something to yourself, Joey, when these things come up for you. I need you to say that I am not my past.
okay.
I am not my past, because things can happen in the past. And guess what?
Yep.
Well, I guess to unfortunately burst your bubble, I do have a partner, but
yeah,
I would never,
figured that.
I would never be able to be in the relationship that I am in now if I didn't let go of my past, because guess what? I would be using all of those aggressive relationships and being like, well, he was like this and he was like this, so you
Yeah.
must be like this. And we cut ourselves off from the love that we want and that we deserve and that we get to honor ourselves with, because we're judging people that have nothing to do with the current present moment, that
Right.
have everything to do with the pain of the past.
Right.
And allowing yourself to find a way to forgive yourself. How I do this is I write myself letters, whether it's like handwritten letters or whether it's just in my notes in my phone, where I forgive myself, because it might take a year to 2 to forgive yourself for all the things that you do not like yourself for.
Right.
And I have written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these letters for myself, because there are many things that I did not believe that I was worthy of love or worthy of a good life or worthy of making money, because of the mistakes I've made in the past as well. And I do have to go in a minute, but I do want to share that if ever you feel that you just need support, like, I don't think a relationship is what you want, but I think it's what makes you feel comfortable. So I think that that's the word you use, because it's where you feel safe in being supported or being loved, which is why I don't take it the wrong way.
Okay.
Because anyone that does not understand what you're really saying is not really listening to what you're really saying. They're just allowing their projection of their life to sit on top of what is going on for you.
Right.
And sometimes something I've noticed about myself is that I used to be addicted to the super high and the super low. So you may do that because you may be addicted to the fact that it's a feeling rather than feeling nothing. I used to feel nothing. I used to want to shove all of the emotions away and be like, you know what? I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to deal with anything. Right. And then I either got sick or I got hurt or something happened to where I hit my upper limit and had to come back.
Yep.
But in
Yep.
acknowledging that, I also am now reminded that there are so many ways in which you can learn to love yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
only one of them matters,
Yeah.
which is the fact that you need to start looking yourself in the mirror. And when you say something that's negative, I want you to say one thing that's positive for each thing that you say that is negative. And don't get me wrong, I still cry in mirror work. I still
Okay.
sit there in front of the mirror and I'm like, like, why? I'm looking, right? I'm looking for all the things that are wrong.
Yep.
But if you can use one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and for you, it's eyes, right? So if you can tell yourself, wow, you have beautiful eyes, and just sit there and not go to anything else whenever anything else comes into your head, like,
Mm-hmm.
nope. And just say no. You could say it out loud. You could say it in
Yep.
your head. Just say no.
Yep. Well, I
And just
think.
start there.
Yep. I thank you so much for your time, and thank you for the love and support that you gave tonight. Um, like I said, I kind of wish, like like I said before, and like I said, I knew, I knew in my head, where that was at in reference to it, but I just thank you because you made me realize now that I have, well, just don't tell him that, that that I have that I have like three super supporters that really had believed in me and are trying to say, hey, you need to believe in yourself now. And that's the challenge I know I have to face. And I'm ready. That's what the isolation is slowly doing. Literally is I've got to get into the spot where I've got to fight these feelings and say, hey, you know what? I can be someone. I can do this. I can have, someone that will be like the three of yous, you know, even if it's not the three of yous, you know, um, but someone that would be like that. But every time I've said that too, I'm like, yeah, right. Like, I'm not going to find that. But I thank you for taking the time, spending the time. Let me glorify you in every which way possible because you deserve it. And that's one thing. Like you said, you deserve to be told how beautiful you are. You deserve to be told, hey, you're the greatest part of my life. And it's like, as I'm feeling bad for saying it because of I'm just saying because of the relationship part on your end, you got me to loosen up and not even think about that. So I thank you for that. And you are always welcome to come on here anytime you want. You just let me know. Elyse, this podcast is yours. Literally. Um so I don't want to hold you up from him anymore either. Because he's probably like,
I'm not going to him. I'm going to do something else for myself. Here's
okay.
the thing about really amazing
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
There's no control.
Yep.
There's no aggression. There's no, I need you to do this thing. There's you creating your life
Mm-hmm.
alongside someone else who is also creating their life.
And that's what I try to live.
Cancel.
Literally.
That's what you are going to live.
That's Well, no, I'm saying in every relationship. That's what I literally did. I literally.
But you said try.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Don't apologize. Just
Uh,
recognize.
yeah, yeah,
Awareness
yeah,
is always the most important step.
yep,
Just realize what you are saying as you're saying it. Something for
yeah,
me that I also did, and then I do have to go,
yeah,
is that I wouldn't hear what it was that I was saying because I wasn't connected to what it was that I
yeah,
was saying.
yeah,
And connecting back to what it is that you're saying means coming back into your body and
yep,
allowing yourself to hear as it's coming out of your mouth. And if you do hear it sometimes, and this is something I've done, is record yourself
yeah.
and listen back to it. See how many times you say try in
Well,
a sentence.
that's why we have this
Yep.
because it'll always be there. And like I said, when I go to share it, um, Anonymous will be supremely happy. I will say that, because uh, the questions came out, and I said to that person that when do I never not hate the questions you give me? I put them out there because you want to know. So, Elyse,
I want
thank
you to
you.
be happy, Joey. I will see you
Well, you
soon.
you believe me, you made me happy to the point where I don't know if I'm ready to cry anymore or something else. But
Go
thank
cry.
you.
Go take a moment.
Yeah.
It's okay. I
But
cry all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. But I will see you
well,
soon, Joey,
all right, you
and
take care. Like I said, anytime you want to come on, let me know.
deal.
All right, you
Have a great
take
day,
care.
Joey.
You too. Bye bye now.